The loading bay erupted in chaos as the cargo container tumbled from its magnetic clamps, its 2-ton mass plummeting toward the group of scientists below. Naya Volaris barely had time to register the screaming alarms before strong arms wrapped around her waist, yanking her backward with such force that her breath escaped in a sharp gasp. The container crashed where she'd been standing moments before, sending metal fragments and research equipment scattering across the deck plating. Naya found herself pressed against a broad chest, her rescuer's heart hammering beneath her palm as they both struggled to catch their breath. "Are you hurt?" The voice was deep, tinged with a slight accent she couldn't quite place. She turned in his arms to find herself looking up into concerned brown eyes framed by dark hair that fell carelessly across his forehead. No, I think I'm fine," she managed, suddenly aware that they were still holding each other. Heat crept up her neck as she realized how close they were standing, how his hands remained steady at her waist as if he was afraid she might collapse. "Marcus Reed," he said, finally releasing her, though he stayed close enough that she could smell the faint scent of engine oil and something distinctly masculine. "Cargo pilot for the supply run. Naya Volaris, xenobiologist." She brushed dust from her research coat, trying to regain her composure. "Thank you. That was impressive reflexes. Just lucky I was watching." His smile was crooked, transforming his face from merely handsome to something that made her pulse quicken unexpectedly. "Though I have to ask what a scientist was doing standing under unstable cargo." Before she could answer, Captain Jorik's distinctive voice boomed across the loading bay. The reptilian station commander approached with his characteristic measured gait, his scaled features arranged in what passed for concern among his species. "Dr. Volaris, are you injured?" The magnetic clamps experienced a sudden failure in their quantum stabilization matrix. His large eyes shifted to Marcus. "Pilot Reed, your intervention was noted. Most humans would have sought personal safety first." "Most humans aren't stupid enough to leave a woman in danger," Marcus replied easily, though Naya caught the slight tension in his shoulders. She was beginning to recognize that he wasn't entirely comfortable with praise. Several of the alien dock workers had gathered around the crash site, their various species creating a colorful array of scales, fur, and exotic skin tones. She noticed how they looked at Marcus with something approaching respect, unusual for beings who typically viewed humans as useful but unremarkable. "The equipment," Naya said suddenly, remembering why she'd been in the loading bay to begin with. She moved toward the wreckage, cataloging the damage to her carefully calibrated instruments. Months of preparation for her ecosystem study, likely ruined. "I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly, following her. "I know research gear isn't easy to replace out here. It's not your fault." She knelt beside a twisted spectrometer, her heart sinking. The nearest replacement was 3 systems away, and her funding barely covered the current expedition. Better broken equipment than a broken scientist, right? Right. But something in his tone made her look up. He was studying her with an intensity that sent an unexpected shiver down her spine. "Though I get the feeling replacing you would be impossible." The comment hung in the air between them, loaded with implications that neither seemed ready to address directly. Naya felt her cheeks warm again, and used to the way this stranger seemed to see straight through her professional facade to something more vulnerable underneath. "Dr. Volaris," Captain Jorik interrupted, "medical protocol requires examination after such incidents. Please report to the medical bay." "I'm fine, really." "Standard procedure," the captain insisted. "Pilot Reed, you will also submit to examination. The station's insurance requires documentation of all incidents involving personnel safety." As they walked through the station's curved corridors toward the medical bay, Naya found herself stealing glances at her rescuer. There was something about the way he moved, confident but not arrogant, alert to his surroundings without seeming paranoid. Like someone accustomed to taking responsibility for others' safety. "So," she said, attempting conversation, "cargo pilot. That must involve a lot of travel." "Some." His response was neutral, but she caught the brief shadow that crossed his features. "Been doing supply runs to research stations for about 2 years now." Pays decent, and I like the isolation. Running from something? The question slipped out before she could stop it, too personal for someone she'd known for 15 minutes. Marcus paused mid-stride, and for a moment she thought she'd offended him. Then he smiled, though it didn't quite reach his eyes. Running toward something, actually. Still figuring out what that is. They'd reached the medical bay, where Dr. Kess, the station's Viridian physician, waited with her typical efficiency. The blue-skinned woman's 4 arms moved in practice patterns as she prepared her scanning equipment. "Both of you, please be seated," Dr. Kess instructed in her melodious voice. "I will examine Dr. Volaris first, then Pilot Reed." As the scanner hummed over her body, Naya found her attention drawn to Marcus, who sat quietly nearby. There was something compelling about his stillness, the way he seemed comfortable in his own skin despite the alien environment. Most humans she knew were slightly on edge around non-human species, but he appeared genuinely at ease. "Fascinating," Dr. Kess murmured, studying her readings. "Dr. Volaris, your neural activity shows an unusual pattern. Elevated in several areas typically associated with emotional response, but in a configuration I haven't seen before. Is that problematic?" "Not problematic, merely curious. The pattern suggests heightened empathic sensitivity. Pilot Reed, please take Dr. Volaris' place." As Marcus settled onto the examination platform, their eyes met again. This time, Naya felt something shift inside her chest, a warmth that had nothing to do with embarrassment and everything to do with the way he was looking at her like she was something precious he'd almost lost. Dr. Kess's scanner had barely begun its sweep when she stopped, her expression shifting to one of scientific fascination. "Extraordinary," she breathed. "Pilot Reed, you're exhibiting the exact same neural pattern as Dr. Volaris. In 20 years of practice, I've never seen 2 individuals with such synchronized brain activity." Naya and Marcus looked at each other, something electric passing between them that neither fully understood but both definitely felt. The accident, it seemed, had been just the beginning. Part 2, The Discovery. 3 days had passed since the accident, and Naya found herself lingering in the station's observation lounge far longer than her research schedule warranted. She told herself it was because the view of the binary star system provided excellent data for her atmospheric studies, but the truth was more complicated. Every time she heard footsteps in the corridor, her pulse quickened with the hope that it might be Marcus. The strange neural synchronization Dr. Kess had detected hadn't been a one-time phenomenon. If anything, it seemed to be strengthening. Naya found herself aware of emotions that weren't quite her own, flashes of contentment when she was nowhere near the cargo bays, moments of concern that seemed to arrive from outside her own thoughts. "You're thinking very loudly today," came a familiar voice from behind her. She turned to find Marcus approaching with 2 cups of what passed for coffee on the station. His hair was still slightly mussed from sleep, and there was something endearingly uncertain about the way he held out one of the cups. "Was I?" she asked, accepting the coffee gratefully. Their fingers brushed during the exchange, and she felt that now familiar jolt of connection. "I didn't realize thoughts had volume. They do when they're about neural synchronization and mysterious connections between strangers." He settled into the chair beside her, close enough that she could feel the warmth radiating from his skin. "I've been doing some research." "Research?" "The station's database has some interesting files on quantum consciousness theory. Apparently, some species naturally develop empathic bonds under specific circumstances." He paused, studying her face. "Usually when they're in mortal danger together." Naya's breath caught. "You think that's what happened to us? In the loading bay?" "I think," Marcus said carefully, "that when I saw that container falling toward you, something inside me shifted. Like a switch being thrown. And I'm guessing you felt something similar." She had, though she'd been trying to rationalize it away for days. That moment when his arms had wrapped around her, she'd felt not just physical safety but an emotional completion she'd never experienced before. As if some part of her that had always been searching had suddenly found what it was looking for. "This is insane," she whispered, more to herself than to him. I don't believe in love at first sight or mystical connections or any of that romantic nonsense. Neither do I, Marcus replied, his voice soft. But I also can't ignore that I know you're feeling anxious right now, even though you're trying to hide it. And that when you smile, really smile, not your polite professional one, I feel like the binary stars outside just got brighter. Before Naya could respond, a small figure bounded into the lounge with the kind of enthusiasm only children possess. Zeph, a young Eltarian with golden fur and large curious eyes, had become something of a station mascot during his family's extended diplomatic visit. Naya. Marcus. Zeph's tail twitched with excitement as he scrambled onto a chair across from them. Elder Thane wants to meet you both. He says the whole station is talking about what happened in the cargo bay. Talking about what, exactly? Naya asked, though she suspected she already knew. About how you two are bonded now, Zeph said matter-of-factly. My mom says humans don't usually form quantum pairs, but Elder Thane says maybe that's because they've never had the right circumstances before. Marcus and Naya exchanged glances. The ease with which the young Eltarian discussed their bonding suggested this was common knowledge among the alien population, even if they were still struggling to understand it themselves. Zeph, Marcus said gently, what exactly do you mean by quantum pairs? When two consciousness merge at the subatomic level, Zeph explained with the matter-of-fact tone children use for obvious things. Like my parents. They can feel each other's emotions and sometimes share thoughts. It's how Eltarians choose mates, we wait for quantum resonance. Naya felt her coffee cup slip slightly in her hands. And your people think that's what happened to us? Elder Thane says the signs are unmistakable. The way you both move differently now, like you're listening to music only you can hear. The way your biorhythms have synchronized, Dr. Kess told him about the scans. And mostly, the way you look at each other. How do we look at each other? Marcus asked, genuine curiosity in his voice. Zeph tilted his head, considering. Like you're seeing colors that didn't exist before. The silence that followed was heavy with implication. Naya found herself studying Marcus's profile as he gazed out at the stars, wondering if what she was feeling was visible to everyone around them. The thought should have been embarrassing, but instead it felt oddly liberating. Dr. Volaris? Pilot Reed? Elder Thane's distinctive voice interrupted her thoughts. The elderly Altarian approached with his characteristic grace, his silver fur catching the light from the observation windows. I hope you don't mind the intrusion, but I believe we have much to discuss. About quantum bonding? Marcus asked directly. Among other things. Elder Thane settled into a chair with the careful movements of advanced age. In my culture, such connections are celebrated. Two consciousness choosing to merge, to become something greater than the sum of their parts. But I understand humans view relationships quite differently. We're still trying to understand what's happening to us, Naya admitted. This isn't exactly covered in xenobiology textbooks. Perhaps because your species hasn't encountered the right catalyst before, Elder Thane suggested. Quantum consciousness requires perfect conditions, extreme emotional stress, genuine selfless concern for another, and most importantly, compatible neural architectures. The odds of such alignment occurring naturally are astronomical. But it did occur, Marcus said quietly. Indeed. And now you face a choice that will affect not just yourselves, but potentially the relationship between our species. The elder's wise eyes moved between them. Quantum bonding, once established, cannot be easily severed. You will continue to develop deeper connection over time, shared emotions, occasionally shared thoughts, even physical sensations in extreme cases. Naya felt a flutter of panic. Are you saying we don't have a choice in this? You always have choice, Elder Thane assured her. But the bond will exist whether you acknowledge it or not. The question is whether you will embrace what you've been given or fight against it. And if we embrace it? Marcus asked. Then you become something unprecedented, a human quantum pair. Your example could change how both our species understand consciousness, connection, and the possibilities for interspecies relationships. No pressure, Naya muttered, earning a soft chuckle from Marcus that somehow made her feel better despite the magnitude of what they were discussing. The pressure exists regardless, Elder Thane said kindly. But perhaps I can offer guidance. In Altarian culture, newly bonded pairs undergo a ritual of acceptance, a formal acknowledgement of their connection that helps stabilize the quantum resonance. What kind of ritual? Naya asked, though part of her was afraid of the answer. Nothing mystical, the elder assured her. Simply a conscious decision to open yourselves to the bond rather than resist it. Meditation, honest communication about your feelings, and most importantly, physical contact that reinforces the neural pathways. Zeph, who had been listening with rapt attention, suddenly clapped his hands together. Like when my parents touch foreheads and their fur glows. Will Naya and Marcus glow too? Humans don't have bioluminescent capabilities, Elder Thane explained patiently, but they may experience other phenomena. Enhanced intuition, emotional healing, even increased physical coordination when working together. This is a lot to process, Marcus said, running a hand through his hair. We barely know each other outside of this connection. Perhaps, Elder Thane suggested, that is precisely why the universe has given you time to learn. Your supply run isn't scheduled to depart for another 2 weeks, Pilot Reed. And Dr. Volaris, your research project will require at least that long to recalibrate after the equipment damage. As if summoned by their conversation, Dr. Kess appeared in the lounge doorway. Dr. Volaris, I've completed analysis of your neural scans from this morning. The quantum resonance patterns have intensified by approximately 30% since the initial measurements. Is that good or bad? Naya asked. It's unprecedented, Dr. Kess replied. And fascinating. I would very much like to document this phenomenon, with your permission. The medical implications alone could revolutionize our understanding of consciousness. Great, Marcus said dryly. We're going to be case studies. You're going to be pioneers, Elder Thane corrected. The first of something entirely new. As the others continued their discussion, Naya found her attention drawn to Marcus again. Their eyes met, and she felt that familiar warmth spreading through her chest. This time, though, she didn't fight it. Instead, she let herself really look at him, the strong line of his jaw, the laugh lines around his eyes, the way his expression softened when he looked at her. Colors that didn't exist before, she thought, remembering Zeph's words. Maybe the young Eltarian was more perceptive than any of them had realized. So, she said quietly, do we try Elder Thane's ritual? Marcus's smile was answer enough. The meditation chamber Elder Thane had provided was unlike anything Naya had ever experienced. Soft bioluminescent panels cast gentle, shifting colors across the curved walls, while the floor seemed to pulse with a barely perceptible rhythm that matched her heartbeat. Or perhaps, she realized, it was matching the synchronized rhythm she and Marcus now shared. I feel ridiculous, Marcus admitted, settling cross-legged on the cushioned platform across from her. I've never been much for meditation or spiritual practices. Neither have I, Naya confessed, adjusting her position so their knees almost touched. But then again, I've never been quantum bonded to someone either. I suppose we're breaking new ground in a lot of areas. Dr. Kess moved quietly around the chamber's perimeter, adjusting monitoring equipment with her 4 arms working in perfect coordination. The sensors will track your neural activity and quantum resonance patterns throughout the process, she explained. Elder Thane's guidance suggests that conscious acceptance of the bond should create measurable changes in your brain chemistry. No pressure at all, Marcus said with a wry smile that made Naya's pulse quicken. Elder Thane entered the chamber with Mira, Naya's research assistant, who looked equal parts fascinated and concerned. The young woman had been pestering Naya with questions about the bonding process ever since word had spread through the scientific community aboard the station. Dr. Volaris, Mira said, settling beside Dr. Kess's monitoring station, I want you to know that whatever happens here, your research team supports you completely. This discovery could change everything we understand about consciousness and interspecies relationships. That's very sweet, Mira, but let's see if we survive the next hour before we start planning paradigm shifts, Naya replied, though she was touched by her assistant's support. Elder Thane approached the platform where they sat. The process is quite simple in concept, though the emotional reality may prove challenging. You must lower the barriers you've both constructed around your feelings and allow yourselves to be truly vulnerable with each other. Vulnerable how? Marcus asked. Complete honesty about your emotions, your fears, your desires. The quantum bond responds to authenticity. You cannot forge a deeper connection while hiding your true selves from each other. Naya felt her stomach flutter with nervousness. She'd built her career on professional composure and emotional control. The idea of dropping those defenses, especially in front of an audience, felt terrifying and exhilarating in equal measure. Additionally, Elder Thane continued, physical contact will help stabilize the resonance. Nothing inappropriate, simply touching hands or foreheads while you speak. Like this? Marcus reached across the small space between them, his palms upturned in invitation. When Naya placed her hands in his, the effect was immediate and overwhelming. The gentle awareness she'd grown accustomed to over the past few days suddenly intensified into something far more profound. She could feel his nervousness mixing with her own, his determination to see this through, and underneath it all, a growing warmth that she realized was his feelings for her. Oh, she breathed, her eyes widening as the sensations washed over her. Yeah, Marcus said softly, his thumb stroking across her knuckles. I can feel it too. Your excitement about the scientific implications, your worry about what this means for your career, and... He paused, his gaze searching her face. Your fear that this is all happening too fast. It is happening too fast, she whispered. 3 days ago, I didn't know you existed. Now I can feel your emotions like they're my own. Does that frighten you? The question hung between them, loaded with implications that went far beyond their current situation. Naya realized that everyone in the chamber, Dr. Kess, Elder Thane, Mira, was holding their breath, waiting for her answer. It should, she said finally. But when I'm with you, even fear feels different. Like something I can handle because I'm not facing it alone. Marcus's smile was radiant. That's exactly how I feel. Like I've been carrying something heavy my whole life, and suddenly the weight is shared. The resonance is strengthening, Dr. Kess reported quietly. Neural synchronization is increasing exponentially. Tell me something true, Elder Thane instructed gently. Something you haven't shared with anyone else. Marcus was quiet for a long moment, his eyes never leaving Naya's face. I've been running cargo routes for 2 years because I was afraid to stay anywhere long enough to care about someone. My last relationship ended badly, she said I was emotionally unavailable, that I never let anyone really see me. She was right. And now? Naya asked softly. Now I can't hide from you even if I wanted to. And the strangest part is, I don't want to. His grip on her hands tightened slightly. What about you? What's your truth? Naya felt tears prick at her eyes as the words formed. I've spent my entire adult life studying alien species because I found them easier to understand than my own. Human emotions always seemed so messy and unpredictable. I thought if I could just stay focused on my work, I wouldn't have to deal with all the complicated feelings that relationships require. But you're dealing with them now. Because with you, they don't feel complicated. They feel. She searched for the right word. Natural. Like this is what emotions are supposed to feel like when they're shared instead of hidden. The chamber filled with a soft harmonic resonance that seemed to emanate from the walls themselves. Dr. Kessa's monitoring equipment began registering readings that made her multiple eyes widen with amazement. Fascinating, she breathed. Your neural patterns are achieving perfect synchronization. I'm reading shared brainwave states that should be impossible between individuals. Is that dangerous? Mira asked, her concern evident. Not dangerous, Elder Thane assured her. Transformative. You are witnessing the birth of something unprecedented in human experience. Marcus lifted one hand to touch Naya's cheek, and she felt the gesture as if it were her own hand touching her own face. The sensation was disorienting and wonderful, creating a feedback loop of tenderness that left them both slightly breathless. I need to tell you something else, Marcus said, his voice rough with emotion. I'm falling in love with you. Not just with the bond or the connection, but with you, your brilliance, your dedication, the way you bite your lip when you're thinking, the way you light up when you talk about your research. Marcus, she whispered, and even saying his name felt different now, weighted with meaning that went beyond simple identification. I know it's crazy, he continued. I know we barely know each other outside of this connection. But what I feel for you is real, and it's growing stronger every moment we're together. It's not crazy, Naya said, her voice stronger than she felt. Because I'm falling in love with you too. With your kindness, your protective instincts, the way you make me feel safe enough to be vulnerable. The way you see me, not just the scientist or the professional facade, but all of me. When their foreheads touched, the world seemed to shift around them. Colors became more vivid, sounds took on new harmonics, and the very air seemed to shimmer with possibility. But more than the sensory changes, there was an emotional completion that made Naya understand, for the first time, what people meant when they talked about finding their other half. The transformation is complete, Elder Thane announced, his voice filled with wonder. You are now fully quantum bonded, two consciousness choosing to become one while remaining yourselves. What happens now? Marcus asked, though he seemed reluctant to break their physical connection. Now you learn to live with your new reality, Dr. Kess said, studying her readings with scientific fascination. The bond will continue to evolve. You'll develop new capabilities, enhanced intuition, emotional healing abilities, possibly even limited telepathic communication. And the practical considerations? Naya asked, her scientist's mind already working through the implications. Your supply run, Elder Thane said to Marcus, can be postponed indefinitely. Captain Jorik has agreed to offer you a permanent position as the station's transportation coordinator. Marcus blinked in surprise. He has. The captain is quite impressed with your performance and your unique situation, Elder Thane explained. As for Dr. Volaris, the Xenobiology department has approved an extended research grant to study the effects of quantum bonding on human consciousness. You mean we can stay together? Naya felt a rush of relief she hadn't expected. You can stay together, Elder Thane confirmed. Though I should warn you that your situation will draw considerable attention from both human and alien scientists. You'll be pioneers in a very public way. Together, Marcus said, squeezing her hands gently. We can handle anything if we face it together. As they prepared to leave the meditation chamber, Mira approached with a mixture of excitement and scientific curiosity. Dr. Volaris, I have to ask, what does it feel like? The bonding, I mean. Naya considered the question, still holding Marcus's hand as the last of the harmonic resonance faded from the chamber walls. Like coming home to a place I never knew I was looking for, she said finally. Like every breath I took before was just preparation for learning how to breathe with someone else. Like finding the missing piece of a puzzle I didn't know was incomplete, Marcus added, his thumb tracing circles on her palm. Beautiful, Dr. Kess murmured, saving her data recordings. And unprecedented. You've not only achieved quantum bonding, you've created a template for future human relationships that could revolutionize how your species approaches love and connection. No pressure, Naya said with a laugh that Marcus felt as warmth spreading through his chest. The best things in life come with pressure, Elder Thane observed. Diamonds, stars, and apparently, quantum consciousness. As they walked back through the station's corridors, Naya realized that everything looked different now. Not just because her perception had been altered by the bonding process, but because she was seeing it all through the lens of a shared future. The sterile walls seemed more colorful, the alien architecture more beautiful, and the vast universe visible through the observation windows felt less intimidating and more full of possibilities. "So," Marcus said as they reached her quarters, "what do we do now?" "Now," Naya replied, standing on her toes to press a gentle kiss to his lips, "we figure out how to be the universe's first human quantum pair. Together." "Together," he agreed, and in that simple word, they both heard the promise of everything they were about to become. The bond hummed between them like a song only they could hear, and for the first time in either of their lives, the future felt not like an uncertainty to be feared, but like an adventure to be embraced. Hand in hand, heart to heart, they stepped into their new reality, ready to discover what love looked like when it transcended the boundaries of individual consciousness and became something entirely new. The universe, it seemed, had been waiting for them to find each other all along.